Hey, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. If you're a subscriber, I love having you here. If you're not a subscriber, all you have to do is click that little button down below and click the like button because I'll just like you so much more if you do. Today we're going to talk about 4 questions you absolutely want to ask if you're getting involved in flight training, and 1 question you really want to avoid. Believe it or not, there is one. Number 1, when you show up at the flight school and you're talking to somebody there and they're telling you all about how wonderful their training program is, you want to ask, can we go look at the airplanes? That may seem obvious, but a lot of people skip that step. When you get out onto the ramp and take a look at the airplanes, you get a lot of information you're not going to get any other way. For one, you see the condition of the airplanes. Are they clean? Are they well maintained? Do they look like aircraft you want to fly? You're going to also find out how many do they have. You may go to a flight school that's just got 1 or 2 aircraft. That's perfectly fine for some circumstances. You may go to one that's got 50, but you'll find out from going to look at the aircraft, do they have what you need to actually do your training? Or are you going to end up sitting on the ground wishing that airplane would come out of maintenance so you could go fly it? This actually affects how much it might cost you to finish your training and get your pilot certificate. Number 2, can I pick my own instructor? That might seem a little crazy because if you're new to flight instruction, you don't really know the difference between a good instructor and a bad instructor, but you do know the difference between a person you get along with and a person who you don't get along with. When you do flight training, you're going to be in tight quarters often with somebody who's giving you instructions and leading you through various tasks, and you're going to do your best to perform, but there is going to be some stress and occasionally there will be some discomfort. That's normal and it's okay, and you can get through that. But if you're flying with somebody you really don't get along with, if there's friction between the two of you for whatever reason, and even if it's just not the clearest communication in the world, that can be a problem for you. Nip it in the bud and see if you can pick your own flight instructor. If you ever do find yourself flying with an instructor you're just not getting along with for whatever reason, don't stress about it. Just tell the instructor, I'd like to make a change. I have nothing against you, but we don't seem to be syncing up well, and I'm paying a lot for this. It's okay to tell Instructor Bob, I want to fly with Instructor Sheila. I think she and I are a better fit. You can even go talk to the chief flight instructor and say, hey, I'd like to make a change. We're just not syncing up. Not a bad instructor. I'm not mad at him. I'd just like to try something else. If they're good CFIs, if it's a good professional school, nobody's going to have a problem with that request. Number 3, an absolute must. Do you have a simulator? No matter what type of flight training you do, there's a certain amount of time you're allowed to use a flight simulator and log it. Better yet, you can learn concepts and tasks in a flight simulator on the ground where you don't have the stress of actually flying an airplane, and you can really learn concepts there, then go use the airplane to put that into practice. The good thing is, flight simulators cost significantly less to operate than the aircraft does. So whether you're doing primary training, instrument training, commercial training, even learning to be a flight instructor where you're going to work with somebody else and learn how to teach those same maneuvers and tasks you've been doing, the flight simulator is a huge gift. Not all flight schools have them, and there are good flight schools that don't have them. But for watching the bottom line, for keeping as many dollars in your account as possible, using a simulator to the degree you're allowed to, or the degree you find beneficial, can be a real bonus. Number 4, and one most people never think about, do you offer block time discounts? Some flight schools really want to have that income and have that student booked as much as possible. They may offer what's called a block time discount, which rather than just paying 1 hour or 1 lesson at a time, you might buy 8 or 10 or 15 hours up front at a discount. If you're confident you're going to actually fly that time and that flight school has the aircraft you need and you're working with a flight instructor you like working with, that discount can make a real difference in the overall cost of your flight training, and it can take one worry off your plate because you've prepaid for that flight time and you don't have the meter clicking in your head while you're on your lesson. Now, as a bonus, here's the question you don't want to ask when you go talk to a flight school. And it seems like one that everybody should ask, but trust me, it makes no sense. It's a bad idea. The question is this: how much will it cost me to get my pilot certificate, or my instrument rating, or my commercial certificate? They don't know. Nobody knows. It's based on hourly costs. So there is a cost per hour for the aircraft. There's a cost per hour for the flight instruction. There is a cost per hour for ground instruction if you go that way. But nobody knows how much instruction you're going to need. So they may be able to give you a number, but that number really has no bearing on your actual finished cost. The better thing is to ask, what are your rates? How much does an airplane cost per hour? And are there multiple types of aircraft at different rates where I can make a decision on which one I want to fly? What does it cost per hour for a flight instructor? What kind of ground school options do I have? Those are good questions that'll help you, because ground school, you might do it one-on-one with an instructor, very expensive. You might do it in a classroom environment with multiple students and one instructor, more cost-effective. Or you might do a home study course where you can use your CFI as a backup to fill in any gaps that you really don't understand. You might even write a question to someplace like MadPropsAero right below this video and say, hey, how do I do this? We might answer you, or we might do a video on it. It all depends on what's most beneficial to you. But asking the big question, what's this going to cost me? Nobody knows. And when you ask that question, you're sort of telegraphing to the school, I don't understand this process very well. I don't really know what I'm getting into. And unfortunately, if you have a less than upstanding salesperson, flight school owner, whatever, that might be the opportunity to take advantage of you. And I say that because I went through that early in my flight training. My first flight lesson was in special VFR conditions. A total waste of time. My second flight lesson was across country. I was just hoovering out my bank account, sending all that money to somebody else for them to build flight time, but it wasn't helping me a bit. It took me several hours to find out I was just wasting my money. So I want to help you avoid that. Ask the right questions, don't ask the wrong questions, and don't worry about talking to the students from that school. That's where you really find out what's going on. Not at the desk, not in the office talking to staff. That's a good place to start. But hang out in the parking lot. Talk to their students and find out how they like it. How do they think the aircraft are? Do they have scheduling problems? Does their CFI actually show up and show up on time? There's so much you can do to cut the cost of your flight training just by being a conscientious consumer right from the start. So remember, go look at the aircraft. Find out if you can pick your own instructor. Definitely find out if they've got a simulator available for you, and ask about block time discounts. All of those together can cut the cost of your flight training tremendously. I wish you the best of luck with it. Feel free to let us know if you're having any trouble. We would love to address those topics. And until next time, I'm Jamie. We'll see you right back here on your personal device with more MadPropsAero content.